Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. The beloved community belongs to divine oneness, and so does all that it achieves. I want to begin by honoring the indigenous ancestors of the land that I am on, the Tongva people, and the indigenous ancestors of the lands of North Carolina. May we honor their struggle and their wisdom, past, present, and future. Thank you so much, Chaplain Fuller. Thank you, President Book. Thank you to the professors and staff, family and friends, and above all, thank you to the class of 2021 for allowing me to spend this time with you today. I went through my closet and I pulled out my regalia to be in solidarity with you, but this is no typical graduation. And this will not be a typical baccalaureate address. I will not speak to you as if I am standing up on a stage. I will speak to you as if it's just you and me, sitting in a room of the heart. You are part of the class of 2021, my love. This means that your graduation is unlike any graduation that has ever been or will be. No other graduating class has experienced an entire year of a global pandemic that has altered every aspect of our collective life and your life. No other graduating class has reckoned with a global uprising for Black lives on a scale history has never seen. No other graduating class has confronted climate catastrophes, wildfires, and storms on the scale that you have, portending more to come. And no other graduating class has witnessed this unprecedented election season, where the assaults on our democracy threw our very future into question as a nation. An insurrection, bloodshed in the U.S. Capitol building. What was previously unimaginable, we saw come to pass. And the crises continue, even under new leadership, as our nation is more divided than ever before, and as we reel from mass violence from Atlanta to Indianapolis. And that's just in the last 12 months. You have been witnessing this, haven't you? You have been watching the world, wondering about your relationship to all of it. Maybe in these last months, you have really found your voice. Maybe you are still finding it. Maybe you have overcome grief and rage. Maybe you're still inside the fire of these emotions. Maybe the catastrophes around us have given you clarity about the role that you want to play in the world. Maybe you are still searching. No matter where you are, honor where you are. For your journey so far has brought you to this day. You made it. You made it to your graduation week. In the midst of everything that was happening in the world and your life, you completed your major. You turned in your papers. You did the lab work. You finished up your courses. You made it to the end of the semester. You made it here, my love. You did it. And that alone is a remarkable achievement. It would have been enough to survive the last year, but you not only survived it, you're graduating with a college degree. And that means the fact that you are here right now means that there is bravery coursing through your veins. You have inside you the courage that you will need for what lies ahead. And you have next to you someone who helped get you here. I invite you now to think of one person who made it possible for you to get to your graduation. Maybe it was a friend or a roommate. Maybe it was a parent or a professor. But choose one person who had your back, I invite you to imagine them now. See their face. Imagine them smiling at you. They may be here right now, smiling on the other side of the screen, whether or not you can see them. Imagine them. And notice, as you see them smiling at you, so proud, what that feels like in your body. Notice what love feels like in your body. Good. Now, holding on to that feeling of love within you, I invite you to lift your gaze and imagine the future. Imagine your future, the coming months and years. What do you see? What do you feel in your body when you think of the future spread before you? Do you feel excited? Do you feel hopeful? Do you feel afraid? It's okay, my love. It's okay to feel all of these things or to not know how you feel. And it's okay if you feel a little breathless. You see, I want to tell you what my first mentor in college told me. Your breathlessness is not a sign of your weakness. Your breathlessness is a sign of your bravery. It means you are awake to what is happening right now. The world is in transition. You see, these years that you have spent in college, during these very years, these formative years, we have been witnessing the rise of far-right supremacist movements across the United States and around the world, propping up demagogues, mainstreaming nativism, undermining democracy, fueling misinformation, politicizing the very notion of truth, failing to safeguard the most vulnerable among us. And here in our country, in the United States, our nation is in transition. We're undergoing a rapid demographic transition that we have never seen before. You see, within 25 years, the number of people of color in the United States will exceed the number of white people for the first time since colonization. And we are at a crossroads. What we have been witnessing, what you have been seeing in your college years, the rise of white supremacy, tyranny, patriarchy, these are signs of people terrified by the nation we are becoming. Will we, in the coming years, as you go into the world, will we continue to teeter on the brink of a kind of civil war? A power struggle with those who wish to return America to a past where only a certain class of white people hold dominion? Or will we begin to birth a nation that has never been? A nation made up of other nations. A nation that is truly multiracial, multi-faith, multicultural. A nation that honors the dignity and the wellness and the safety of every single one of us. Will we birth an America that we long dream? With climate change, the stakes are existential. You see, humanity itself is in transition. Are we on the brink of mass suffering and extinction? Or will we begin to marshal the vision, the skill, the solidarity to solve these problems together, to deliver a sustainable earth? The choices that we make now within the next 25 years, starting now, will determine whether humanity itself survives or not. My love, the future is dark. Is this the darkness of the tomb or the darkness of the womb? Some days are so dark that I feel like I'm tasting the ash in my mouth. Other days, I feel like I'm seeing glimpses of the world that is longing to be born. I am glimpsing that world right now, today, in you. In this lifetime, and your lifetime, we have a chance to birth an America that has never been a multiracial democracy. In this lifetime, in your lifetime, we have the chance to birth a sustainable future, a world that's not constantly on the brink of collapse, but a world that has found a way to make this planet habitable for generations to come. I choose to see the darkness of the womb. I choose to labor for the nation that could be, the world that could be. And I invite you to see that vision of the future with me. For this is what I know to be true. We need sound policies. We need just government. But what we need is something even deeper if we are going to transition our nation and our world into a lasting future. We need a shift in culture and consciousness, a new way of seeing and being that leaves no one behind, a revolution of the heart, a love without limit, what I call revolutionary love. You see, I believe revolutionary love is the call of our times. And that brings me to you. You, when you lifted your gaze and you saw your future, did you see a glimpse of yourself? What were you doing? How were you being? Did you see yourself as an educator, a counselor, a doctor, a nurse, a scientist, a lawyer, a business person, an artist? Whatever you saw, whatever you glimpsed of yourself, you have a role to play. Your life matters. Your vision of the future matters. Your voice matters. You will have a sphere of influence that no one else has. You will have a role that no one else can play in birthing that future to come. And there might be a voice in your head that says, no, not me. And I want to say, no, you. I am speaking to you. It is time now, my love. It is time now to believe in the best version of yourself. It is time to believe in the offering that you can make to the world, the kind of courage that might move you to pour your labor into the world and live a good life, a long life, a meaningful life. So I have come with an invitation to you. I have come to invite you to make love, revolutionary love, your compass. Now, when I was in college, anytime someone stood up on a stage and said, love is the answer, I would roll my eyes. What is love, this touchy-feely thing, in the face of systemic injustice or institutions that perpetuate oppression? You see, I became an activist when I was in college, in the wake of the terrorist attacks of September 11th, when hate violence erupted on city streets across America, and Balbir Singh Sodhi, Balbir uncle, a family friend, was the first person to be killed in a hate crime after 9/11. His murder turned me into an activist, and I believed that with every film, with every lawsuit, with every campaign, that we were making the nation safer for the next generation. And then I became a mother. My babies are downstairs right now. And I had to reckon with the fact that they are growing up in a country more dangerous for them than it was for me. as little brown children, as little sick children with long brown hair that will wear their hair in chunnis and turbans. I believe that every policy that we championed, every lawsuit we filed, every outcome that we fought for, I believe that they mattered. But I also believe that they are not enough. That shift in culture and consciousness, that means that the problems that we are facing as a nation are not just political or economic or social, they are spiritual, they are moral. And that what is required now is a revolution of the heart. You see, love, the problem, it took me 20 years to learn that the problem was never with love. The problem was with the way that we talk about love. Love is more than a rush of feeling. Love is more than a flood of emotion, something that comes and goes. No. Remember, you thought of that person who loved you well enough to get you here, that person who had your back? They poured their labor into you. They stayed with you when it was hard. They never left your side so that you could be here now. Love is more than something that feels good. Love is sweet labor. Fierce, bloody, imperfect, life-giving. It is a choice we make again and again. And what I call revolutionary love is the choice to love without limit. Imagine if we could love without limit, if you could love anyone, if you could live your life with an orientation of that kind of love. Revolutionary love is the choice to labor for others who do not look like us, even for our opponents and for ourselves. This love without limit, this revolutionary love, I say that it is the call of our times, and I say it is time to reclaim love for a new era, a new generation, but we know that this call to love without limit is ancient. When did you first hear it? It has been on the lips of indigenous healers and spiritual teachers and social reformers through the millennia. Jesus called us to love our neighbor. Abraham to open our tent to all. Muhammad to take in the orphan. Buddha, unending compassion. Guru Nanak to see no stranger. Mirabai to love without end. They all called us to expand the circle of who counts as one of us, to include every single one of us. If this call to love is so ancient, if this is a spiritual truth that has come down to us through all of our wisdom traditions, then how is it that we have ended up with the world that we have now? You see, every society is run by institutions that cling to hierarchies of human value. And the oldest lie that sustains a hierarchy of human value on U.S. soil is the story of white supremacy. The idea that people with dark skin are not worthy enough, valuable enough, human enough to deserve as much, to receive as much, to live as well as others. To disentangle that lie is nothing short of revolution. It begins in here in order to do it out there. You see, I believe that anti-racism is the bridge, but love is the destination. Beloved community is the destination. And that brings me back to you. Imagine if your graduating class, imagine if a critical mass of us decided to make love our compass, to build beloved community where we are. Imagine if a critical mass of us could build beloved community where we are, no matter where we are. I believe revolutions happen not only in the grand moments in public view, but in the spaces where people are coming together to inhabit a new way of being. And that is why I'm offering you to make revolutionary love your compass. It is not only how we birth the world to come, it is how we last. I want you to last decades. I want you to find longevity and resilience. I want to grow old. I want to grow old with you. I believe that we can stay in the fire of all of our labors in this life when we are guided with the ethic of love. Love for others, opponents, and ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with 3 practices that I wish I had when I was graduating from college. I'm going to leave you with the how. Are you ready? Practice number 1. See no stranger, my love. See no stranger. You can look at anyone and say, you are a part of me I do not yet know. You are a part of me I do not yet know. I invite you to orient to your life with the eyes of wonder. Look at the face of anyone and wonder about them, their thoughts, their needs, their desires, their struggles, their dreams. When you say that you are my sister, my brother, my sibling, you are saying that you are as equal, as vast, as infinite to yourself as I am to myself. When I choose to see you as brother, as sister, as sibling, that means I am ready to let your story into my heart, your grief into my heart. I am ready to fight for you when you are in harm's way. That kind of love has always been dangerous. What if we saw George Floyd as our brother, Breonna as sister, migrant child at the border as our own daughter? Seeing no stranger has always disrupted the status quo. If you choose to see no stranger throughout your life, it will give you the wisdom to show up with courage, to remake this world, to reorder this world in such a way that leaves no one behind. And that brings me to the second practice. Tend the wound. It's very hard to see our opponents as sisters and brothers when it's hard to love. When it's hard to love our opponents, I invite you to remember to tend the wound. You see, there are no such thing as monsters in this world. There are only human beings who are wounded, who act out of their own insecurity or greed or blindness. That doesn't make them any less dangerous. You must protect yourself and make sure your safety and the safety of your community is paramount. But if you are safe enough to wonder even about them, to wonder about their wounds, it gives you information for the cultures that radicalize them and the institutions that authorize them. It gives us information to hold up a vision of a future that doesn't leave them behind either. That, too, is revolutionary. I remember Babir Uncle, who was killed after 9/11. It took me 15 years to process my own grief and rage until I could finally wonder about the man who murdered him. I now talk to Frank Roque in prison. I wonder about him, I hear his story, and I have come to understand that forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is freedom from hate. Once I am free from hate, I can see even my uncle's murderer as a brother who was lost. I can imagine a world that might make a place for him once he has traveled the ways of redemption, transformation. This is hard labor. This is long labor. This takes time. And so that brings me to the third practice. Breathe and push. How to love ourselves. You see, the midwife, she has wisdom for how to sustain any long creative labor. The labor of building a career or going to graduate school or building a movement or rebirthing a nation. She says, breathe and then push and then breathe again. There is a rhythm, a cadence to sustaining longevity and resilience in all of your labors in life. So I invite you, my love, to breathe, to weave breath throughout your day, to breathe before you push. How are you breathing every day? Who are you breathing with? How are you sustaining longevity in all of your labors for a more just world? Those are the 3 practices. See no stranger, how to love others. Tend the wound, how to love even our opponents. And breathe and push, how to love ourselves well. When we orient to the labor with these practices of revolutionary love, the labor becomes an end in itself. I invite you to measure your life not by what you produce or how quickly you produce it. I invite you to measure your life by your faithfulness to the labor. You have some pretty good models for how to do that. I want to lift one of them up today. Reverend Janet Fuller, your university chaplain. She has shown us what it means to be faithful to the labor. She was ordained as a minister 40 years ago. She has served 4 campuses, and through 4 decades, she has mentored 10 generations of students. She has presided over campus memorials and campus tragedies and national and global crises, and at Elon University, all through it all, she has built a vibrant and robust multi-faith center, program, and staff. Jan is retiring this year and entering a new stage in her own life. Janet, we want to tell you that we love you. We witness you. We witness your faithfulness to the labor. And you have shown us that longevity is about experiencing joy along the way. So my final message to you all: let joy in. Let joy in, my love. In the Sikh tradition, we call it Chardikala, ever-rising joy, even in darkness, ever-rising high spirits, even in the pain of labor. What does it mean to feel that sparkling, rising feeling in your body, to let joy in? Joy returns us to everything that is good and beautiful and worth fighting for. Joy is our greatest act of moral resistance. Joy gives us energy for that long labor. This week especially, your graduation week, no matter how dark the future feels, no matter how uncertain the world feels, I invite you to celebrate how far you have come and rejoice in it. Let joy in. Let joy in with the ones who have labored for you, who have made it possible for you to get here. For I believe that laboring for a more just and beautiful world with love and with joy is the meaning of life. Thank you so much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.